Nintendo's had one hell of a good year. The 3DS has continued to tick along nicely, and the Nintendo Switch, their new console handheld hybrid, has been astonishingly well received by hardcore fans and the casual market alike. As well as generating glowing opinions of its premise and software library, the system has sales numbers that speak for themselves. In 9 months, the Switch has surpassed 10 million units sold, and by April, that number's expected to nearly double. It's an initial success of Wii-like proportions, and all things considered, quite an unexpected one. What has led to such a successful debut for Nintendo's 9th generation console though? First off, there's the masterful pacing of the Switch's opening game lineup. Realistically, more than one of the hits of the year could have been ready for launch day, the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Splatoon 2 in particular. But Nintendo bided their time with such releases and, therefore, in addition to ensuring more polished experiences made it onto the shelves, made sure there was always something to look forward to on the Switch. Almost every month since the console's launch there has been a notable first-party release. March had Breath of the Wild, April had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, June had ARMS, July had Splatoon 2, and so on. People stayed interested in Nintendo's system. The gaming press covered this steady stream of titles, so the Switch was continually featured, as opposed to appearing sporadically throughout the year. Early adopters were able to continue talking about the Switch, and have something worthwhile to talk about, attracting new buyers. The consistency Nintendo achieved by releasing titles in a regular manner has given the Switch staying power, and thus more interest. It helped, of course, that the games released this year for Switch were really good. Nintendo was competing against itself for Game of the Year this year, Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey receiving almost universal acclaim and claiming the hallowed score of 97 on Metacritic. Beyond that even though, Splatoon 2 and ARMS were popular with critics and players, Mario Kart 8 was as delightful as ever, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a miracle on a handheld device. It's been said that 2017, loot boxes aside, has been the best year for games since 2007. In Nintendo's case, that couldn't be truer. Quality arrivals in the Switch's library throughout the year extended beyond first-party releases too, as the system has done a fantastic job in appealing to indie developers. As well as some ports of older titles, Shovel Knight, Stardew Valley and Super Meat Boy to name a few, Nintendo has seen multi-platform releases of highly praised independent titles like SteamWorld Dig 2 arrive as well. Even better, some indies are prepared to make full-on exclusives for the Switch. Snipper Clips and Oddball RPG Golf Story are prime examples. Developers such as these find the Switch attractive for a variety of reasons. There's no doubt that Nintendo's Nindies initiative has taken a more central stage since the Wii U days, but the real reason the company has seen such success here might just be the lack of strong alternatives. Steam, and therefore the PC space, has become ridiculously crowded. As a PC indie, you rely on a 24 or 48 hour window on the new releases page, or just plain luck with Valve's algorithm for success. Sony, meanwhile, has become callous. Their indie efforts are very much on the sidelines, and with the new love of shovelware, their future with indies doesn't look promising. Microsoft had a bad start with the Xbox One. That bad first impression must surely linger for developers. But that's just speculation. The point is, Switch's uncrowded, high-quality, carefully curated eShop is drawing indie developers in, and in an age where publishers seem more and more arbitrary, they'll be, and already have been, key in the success of the console. What about the system itself? Beyond the software, the Switch's hardware is fantastic. Not gimmicky like the 3DS with its 3D or Wii U with its gamepad, the Switch is simple, sleek, and easily understandable. Its hardware facilitates its worthwhile selling point. You can play full, traditional games anywhere, anytime. Who hasn't wanted to play the new Zelda in bed, or the new Mario on the bus? A childhood dream of many alienated Nintendo fans, the Switch's ideas speak to them and countless other demographics. Crucially, Nintendo strikes a balance between power and portability, so that higher fidelity games like Breath of the Wild and Doom can run acceptably on a portable system without compromising too much on performance, particularly in the case of multi-platform titles in comparison to other platforms' versions. Nintendo delivers on the promise of its hybrid system. You can play real, AAA games on the go. Sure, don't go in expecting 4K HDR, 144 FPS play, but that's the successfully balanced hardware payoff of the Switch. I mentioned Doom there. Yes, that's because Nintendo has also reclaimed the third-party support it lost in the Wii U era. Astounding early sales numbers have got big names like Bethesda, aforementioned Doom, Skyrim, Wolfenstein 2, and Ubisoft, Mario and Rabbids, Just Dance, Rayman Legends, back on board. And more are sure to follow. Why does this matter? Strong third-party offerings offer more incentive to pick up the Switch for those who may not be swayed by other means. Particularly considering the Switch's portability, being able to play a popular new release, besides Nintendo's, on the go, is an enticing prospect. Inevitably, success from third-party backing will result in more third-party backing. Perhaps we can expect Activision or EA to get on board next, which will result in more success again. It's a positive feedback loop of sales and system health. We saw it work the other way with the Wii U, so we know this cycle can make or break a system. Third-party support is undoubtedly a factor in the Switch's success so far, and it makes me optimistic for the Switch's future. In the end though, the success of the Switch comes down to the focus Nintendo had this time round. They knew what they wanted the Switch to be, and set targets to ensure its success accordingly. We can see these achieved in the areas we've explored, all of which have an impact on the Switch's identity, but we can also see these achieved in the way the Switch feels, unique, fresh, and confident in itself. It's a far cry from the Wii U or Xbox One, both recent victims of the lack of a clear focus or idea. The Wii U tried to appease both the hardcore and casual market at once, but as a result was ill-equipped to do either. On top of that, a gimmick that required explaining as opposed to the universal appeal of the Wii or Switch was never going to work. Meanwhile, the Xbox One wasn't sure whether it were a games console or an entertainment hub a la Apple TV. We all remember the confusing Kinect shoehorning and sharing games mess too, no doubt. The PS4 set out to be a good games console, plain and simple. The Wii set out to be a system that appealed to a casual market. Along with many others, the Switch can now join these ranks as a games console, and handheld, with a clear vision, goal and purpose. This system's first 9 months have been textbook in their smoothness, and with the Switch's goals met, I look forward to see what Nintendo's going to do next. The question on everyone's lips is, can they keep up the momentum?